What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 8 of We're So Sorry. And this week, Austin is unable to join us again, unfortunately. So, in order to make up for that, I am going to be letting you guys listen to a small handful of conversations that Austin and I have had within the last few months. I apologize in advance for the unprofessional sounding sound quality. We recorded these conversations out in nature. We were just kind of walking on a trail and actually ended up sitting and talking inside of an abandoned or somewhat redesigned train tunnel. And so there's some echo, some reverb, and some wind and things like that. And sometimes people might walk by. But hopefully I edited the audio to the best of my ability so that it's still a smooth listening experience. And so with that, this week we're going to be talking about themes such as the right person is always yourself. You are always the right person for you. And just boundaries and relationships and self-awareness and accountability and things of that nature. And so if you guys like this episode, feel free to reach out to us. And also don't forget to follow our social media pages. We are on Instagram at We Are So Sorry Podcast. We're on YouTube at We Are So Sorry Podcast. Also feel free to check out Austin and my artist pages. We both make music. My artist name is Niall Blaine. You can find me on any streaming platform. I actually just released a brand new EP this last week called Dear Me. Feel free to check that out. You can also find me on Instagram at DJ Niall Blaine. And same for Austin. Austin is also on all of the streaming platforms under The Paralytic, and he is also on Instagram at The Paralytic. So let's jump right into this episode. I will send you guys on your way to that audio recording. And like I said, these are actually a handful of audio recordings that I'm just kind of stitching together in order to make this episode. And for confidentiality purposes, I'm going to be censoring some certain parts of context like names and places and things like that are somewhat personal, just to keep things, like I said, private. But the conversations will still make sense, and I will keep important things that are mentioned in the recording. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy.
I was thinking about this earlier. I actually wrote it down in my notebook so I wouldn't forget in case I did want to forget and I had to go back and look at it. So I saw a post something a long time ago, and I just kind of got reminded of it. I've heard it before. They call it the right person at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, so if right person at the wrong time exists, then that means that wrong person at the wrong time also exists.
Well,
But that also stands to reason that wrong person at the right time also exists. So, yeah, and what I said was it exists in that of like self-improvement or whatever, because, or like character development or self-development or whatever you want to call it, because, you know, like wrong person, right time, because I spent all that time with her and now look who I am now.
Your emotional capacity was that of someone that could handle having a relationship, but it just wasn't meant to be with her.
Yes. So it was the wrong person, but it was the right time. But then that also means that there's a right person, right time.
Yes.
But that one's a lot harder to achieve.
Right.
But I mean, that's what I wanted to say was like, you know, it also stands to reason that there's a wrong person, right time for that of self-development.
That's really interesting. See, and I feel like, you know, things like that, it also has a lot to do with self-awareness. Like, you can be aware, like right now, I'd say I'm pretty close to it. See, because I'm going to take this one step farther. If it can be, you know, right person, wrong time, wrong person, right time, it can also just simply be the right time or the wrong time without having to include the right or wrong person.
Yeah.
So if, like, you were to say, okay, I'm ready to be in a relationship, but you choose not to, well, then you're giving yourself control and recognizing that it is the right time. But just because there's not anyone there doesn't mean you stoop down to someone else's level to try to force something to make it work. So you could be like, okay, it's the right time, but instead of giving the energy to someone else, I'm going to give it to myself. You can never go wrong with that. Then it's always the right person because you're always the right person for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you aren't, then you need to do that work to make yourself the right person.
Exactly, which is kind of where we are now. So if anything,
Right.
we're actually at the right time now.
Yeah.
We've worked our way up to this right time, and now we are our own right person.
And by not giving unnecessary attention to people that we know are the wrong people, who are the only people we're going to give the right attention to? By a process of elimination. If we're not giving it to the wrong people,
We're giving it to the right people. And if we're the right people, we're giving it to ourselves.
right, until we find someone that we actually recognize.
Until we find someone that deserves it, if anything, too.
Right. That's a very good point. I like that idea.
You know, I feel like there's a such thing as being too transparent. Like if you get into a relationship, you don't need to list off every person you've been interested in the last 6 months.
I mean, absolutely not, but
if you are, you know, like hanging out with them one-on-one, you're texting them, you talk, like you talk on Snapchat, you talk more than just streaks or whatever, and that's something you tell somebody. But otherwise,
that's exactly what I was saying, because
Yeah.
like I was saying with me being interested in her at one
Right.
point, which if we ever do actually make this an episode, I will not be using real names. Anyway, you know, it's like I was still talking to her. You know, like I hung out with her every day at school.
Right.
I had different classes with her. And actually at the time, I talked to her on Snap every once in a while, you know, all these different things. So the fact that I was still talking to her would almost seem like I still had an interest in her, and I didn't. So I had to make that very clear that, hey, this is still my friend, but I'm not interested in them, which is actually something I'm going to have to do as well, which brought this up a while back, talking about, you know, whoever she winds up dating next, and she specifically talked about, she was like, I think she might have even told him, like, you know, look, these are my two, you know, I do have guy best friends, and I hang out with them quite a bit, and that's going to continue happening.
Yeah.
Because, and I feel like that those are things that you should set very early on in a relationship, is things that you are going to continue doing, because you still want to continue living your own life. It's not until you get married that you kind of give up your own to become one. And even then, you're not giving up your whole life.
Right.
You're just giving up your normal social interactions and such to be with
integrate
that
with
person.
someone
Yes,
else.
yes, to integrate into somebody else. You're kind of, holy matrimony, or like a wedding. You know, two people binding together. That's two people becoming one.
Right.
You know, two souls binding to become one person, essentially. I mean, not literally, but in a figurative language type thing, that's exactly what it is. So that's whenever you kind of give up things. But whenever you're just dating, you can be like, look, this is what my social life looks like. If that bothers you, then I'm sorry. But
You don't even need to say that.
yes, exactly. Because like,
If it bothers you, then hasta la vista, baby.
that's exactly what I was going to say. If that bothers you, then I'm sorry, but this isn't going to work out. Or, you know, we can talk about it, but I'm still going to keep up my normal social life. I will make time for you because I want to be with you, but this is what's going to kind of be happening. And you don't, in any kind of relationship, you don't want to be demanding. You don't want to be like, I'm doing this, this, and this, okay? And you're going to be doing this, okay?
But you need to lay down the foundation.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, I don't know. It's like if I started dating someone right now, and you were still here. Let's just say you aren't leaving. Okay, just for the sake of the story.
Yeah.
Like, look, I hang out with Niall. He's my best friend, and I hang out with him almost every single day. That's going to continue happening. Now, I will make time for you in other times, but during certain times of the day and stuff like that is whenever I have my best friend time, essentially.
Yeah.
So, you know, like we're going to the gym together, we're doing all these different things together, whatever. Now, you know, I'll invite her to the gym too. I'll be like, look, we're gonna be at the gym at this time. You're welcome to join if you want, but it's still kind of more of me and Niall. You know, the only time it would be me and her specifically is if you weren't able to make it, for the most part. Now, it wouldn't be like, you know, me and you. It'd be me, you, and whoever she is.
Right.
Or like if you had a girlfriend, it'd be me, you, and whoever she is, you know, or all four of us, or whatever's going on. So, anyway, it's like I'm going to be hanging out with Niall. You know, I've got, you know, things going on here. And another one of my best friends now, it is a girl, and I do talk to her a lot because she's one of my best friends. However, you know, and she's not my type.
See, how transparent do you get, though? Do you specify, or do you acknowledge that she used to be interested in you to this person, or do you leave that out?
I don't know, kind of depends. because
See,
I would
feel like-
want to tell her that,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I may not want to bring that up unless they do. At least maybe for a little while, because I can I can tell her that I'm not interested.
Right.
And that I never have been interested.
I feel like if you do say that she used to be interested in you, you actually strengthen your argument because you're letting your partner know that you acknowledge that this person used to be interested, but you chose not to be with them, even though you could have been.
Okay, actually that's fair. So in that case,
So
I'm glad you brought that up
basically
because
proving your loyalty, because you're saying I could have been with this person, but I don't like them that way, and I'm not interested in that way.
well, I'm glad you brought that up actually, because now that gives me, a stronger argument for whenever I actually do start dating again. So I could just say, like, look, she used to be interested in me. I've never been interested in her. I turned it down, but we're still friends, and we're going to remain friends. And I still hang out with her from time to time. And to my knowledge, she's no longer interested in me. Right. To my knowledge, not only is she no longer interested in me, but I've never been interested in her, and it's just not going to happen. So, oh wow, that got cold.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, anyway, so there's, that. So you have nothing to worry about in that department, but I'm still going to be hanging out with her.
Right.
So if they have a problem with me hanging out with her right off the bat, then right off the bat it's done.
Right.
However, here's another weird thing, because they won't always necessarily bring up that something, and this is what I hate. Listen, I love people, but they have one specific flaw that that they all share in common, is that they won't tell you what issue they're having until it's almost too late to fix it. Because that's what did. I mean, she's like, oh yeah, and you do this and this with and I never find out until way later. I'm like, why didn't you bring this up? And I would have either quit doing it or at least started telling you that I was going.
Right.
But you never brought it up, so I couldn't tell you.
Well.
And then the same thing with, I'm trying to think of another example, but if I was dating somebody and I was hanging out with and I was hanging out with you, we're doing all these things, and I even spent some, one-on-one time with just going to different places or whatever, or if you couldn't make it and I told her that was going on, she's like, okay. Well, then one day she lets it build up and then brings it up. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me? Well, because I told you to tell me if you're having a problem with it, and if she's having a problem with it at that point, we're done. Because they hid it from me, which is another version of lying.
Right, it is. And so this is what I'm going to say. And maybe this is harsh, but this is how I want to get this okay with being alone, that I'm able to do this to my ex-partner. And that is, I will literally tell them, I will not take accountability, responsibility, nor feel bad for things that you do not bring to my attention. I will never tell them. I will never tell them, if you have something wrong, tell me. I'm just going to tell them that if you don't tell me, I will not feel bad, I will not take responsibility, and I will not pity the way you feel if you do not tell me. I probably won't be like that mean about it, but that's the honest to goodness truth. And I'll also tell them that I'll probably never say you have nothing to worry about. I'm probably going to tell them, if it's in my destiny, or in your destiny, or in our destiny to hurt each other, you best believe we're going to hurt each other. And there's nothing that's going to stop that from happening. So whatever lesson we're meant to learn from this relationship is what we're going to learn.
Yeah, it's probably
and you have to
regardless.
be absolutely okay with the fact that, I could very well hurt you, and you could very well hurt me, but I won't do it deliberately.
Exactly.
Like, as long as they understand that I would never, do something out of spite for someone else, but they gotta understand, because I wish I would have told at the beginning, if I had known, obviously I would have, but they have to understand. Like, I'll probably just tell them, what's the most broken you've ever felt from a relationship? I'm like, I'll just probably tell them, I can't guarantee that I won't do that to you because I don't know. And the thing is that if I tell you that I do and then it doesn't turn out that way, I'm a liar.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you can never actually guarantee.
You can never actually know. All I can tell
Which is
you,
another thing I'm gonna start doing is I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna really talk about marriage all too much. I'm not gonna talk about kids. We can talk about it maybe from time to time, but it doesn't matter. Something will leave eventually. But I'm never gonna be like, oh yeah, we should name our kids this, and when we get married, this is gonna happen. Because it's not gonna happen necessarily.
Right.
Because
You don't know.
Exactly, because that's the kind of stuff that they talk about sometimes, and then it didn't happen.
So you get this attachment to them that you have to come to terms with that fact that it's not happening afterwards. Then you have to break down this idea that you fell in love with, because that's where the idea of the person comes in. You fall in love with this idea of what's going to happen, that you become blinded by what's actually happening, or realize that that moment is more important than your future.
Because without that moment, you won't get to your future.
Exactly.
So it's like, you can talk about how many kids you'd like to have someday, or names that you would like to name, your children. But I don't think I'll ever say, when we get married, or like when we do this.
Yeah,
or
I'm not
when we
doing
do
that.
It's probably always going to be if,
Yeah.
or Lord's willing, or something like that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Lord willing. But like the thing is, see, I was never the first one to bring it up either. That's the thing, and I'm gonna have to do. I'm probably gonna sound like a to my next girlfriend because I think she brought it up first because she's also the one who told me she loved me first, and I think she brought it up at some point, and we only lasted a month. With she told me she loved me first, and I think she's the first one who brought it up and all that other stuff, and we lasted a year or whatever, right? So my whole thing is, my next girlfriend, if she's, I kind of want to be the first one to tell her that I love her. For one, a change of pace. If I'm not, no big deal. But change of pace would be kind of nice. Anyway, point is, if she starts talking about marriage, I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna put the brakes on right there. Look, you're great, and at this point, I would assume that we probably already told each other, we love each other or whatever. Like, look, you're great, I love you, but we're not talking about that because that's always just an if. That's never a win because it's never guaranteed in any kind of relationship. But see, that's where the problem runs in, especially at our age, is no one's mature enough to understand that and know that.
They think you're attacking them.
Exactly.
But
they think
what
I'm
you're
attacking
really
them.
trying to do is protect them and you.
Yes.
Because in the event that things fall apart, you won't be in this, depression or this turmoil that's going to make you think that, it's the absolute end of the world because this person.
Yep. Exactly. And that's kind of what I want to explain
But
to
you
them.
have to be realistic.
Yes, you have to be realistic, and I want them to have the emotional maturity for that as well.
To respect what you're saying.
Yes, to respect what I'm
and maybe even reciprocate it.
Yes, exactly, because that's exactly what I'm saying. Because if they're not mature enough to understand and reciprocate that or whatever,
they're not. Yeah. I just have to say this because I don't know. I say it sometimes, but I don't feel like. I want to use the word wisdom because that's what I pray for is wisdom from God. And that's exactly what it feels like. It doesn't feel like this is from me. Like it feels like, it's like, I don't know how I know the things I say.
Exactly. Same.
I have no idea how I know.
Same.
I just do,
Yeah, because I've not done it a long time, and actually it's a good thing you bring that up because I used to pray for wisdom as well.
I do.
And not just wisdom or wisdom from God, but rather wisdom for the things that I need to do in my life.
Yes.
So like maybe like a leading, but maybe a directional wisdom. Show me where you want me to go. Give me the wisdom
Discernment.
Discernment. Give me the wisdom to be able to discern from real versus fake relationships. Give me the wisdom to go where you want me to go. And actually, that's actually a line from a song. Everywhere you go, I'll go. Anywhere you stay, I'll stay.
Yes.
I will follow. Yeah, and that's kind of the thing I'm asking for. Help me be able to discern right from wrong and discern right from wrong people in my life and stuff like that. And I feel like I'm just kind of reiterating the same statements, but it's still true nonetheless.
Right. Something that's interesting is like typically I like to think that we can think with our heart or we can think with our mind. But at the same time, the Bible says that the heart is deceitful above all things. Who can understand it? Is that the verse?
I'm not sure because I don't know where that's at, but I believe I've heard it.
I know there's a verse that says that the heart is deceitful above all things. And, that means that you shouldn't put all of your essence in what your heart is telling you, and you shouldn't put all of your essence into what your mind is telling you. You should put all of your essence in what God is telling you.
Yeah, and I think that's where I made a mistake in my last relationship, was because I did exactly that. And it's really weird because the heart is deceitful or whatever.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we've always been told to listen to what our hearts are telling us. Always. We've always been told that.
Right.
Like, just follow your heart and just listen to what your heart's telling you. Is it really our heart that we should be listening to, or like our mind that we should be listening to, or is it God that we should be listening to? Because it should be God that we're listening to and obeying, not ourselves. Because you got to think, our hearts, Our hearts don't actually have a brain. So everything that we think with our heart is not actually our heart. It's just something that we really genuinely believe or really think in our brains, which in that case is an idea that we've kind of come up with on our own. So we're not actually, we're following ourselves, we're not following God. And in so, we lead ourselves down the wrong path.
We've separated our emotions from our logic, and sometimes we like to dive into our emotions to make decisions, and sometimes we like to dive into our logic to make decisions, and it's very circumstantial, but at the same time, it's like, if you let, like, okay, recently, because I just got baptized, and one of the things that, I've been praying for a lot recently is that I just want to be I keep saying I want to be liberated, and the reason I want to be liberated is because I want to be liberated from everything, because anything that I am a slave to prevents God from using me as a vessel for what he wants to achieve through me with my life. Not that my life is meaningful or that I know anything, but that if I remove all the strings on me, God can do whatever he wants with me. And the thing is that the reason why I think that's the best way to do it is that God wants to make his presence known in your life and other people's lives, and he wants to use his love to meet other people's needs. And so, for example, I'm going to relate this to the fact that, I would really like to be married someday and have children and whatever. Well, if I give it to God, he will allow me, he will give me the wisdom and use me as a vessel to let me show his love to my wife.
Yeah.
So that way my wife
That's how it's supposed to be.
that it's not from me, it's from God.
That's exactly how it's supposed to be, yeah.
That brings you closer to God.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. That's
yes.
I've shown you this before probably. So you have this triangle, okay, and
Yeah.
why is this not working?
There are some people coming all the way.
Anyway, so God's at the top of this, okay? I know you can barely see that, but that's where God is, okay? He's at the top. And I'm down here, so I'm gonna put me or Austin or whatever. So you'd be the same way. That'd be, Niall or whatever. I'm trying to find a better rock because for whatever reason, we do need to get some chalk. Gosh dang it. Okay. So your partner's over here. I'm just gonna put partner. Okay? Yeah. So here's the thing. So the closer you get to God, and the closer they get to God, the closer you get to each other. But the farther away you get from God, and the farther away they get from God, the farther away you get from each other. So that's why and I've told you this before, so that's why it's important for your relationship to be God-focused, so that you can both be up here, and you can both be close to each other.
Right. Because if you are, this is obviously a two-dimensional plane, but if your partner is looking this way at you, and you're looking this way at your partner, what are you not looking at?
You're not looking at God.
Right.
Exactly.
But see, if you look at God, and God reflects, what are you both looking at? Each other and God at the same time.
Yes.
If God is a mirror...
It's more of a three-dimensional plane, but more like three-dimensional at the top. Because down
figuratively,
here,
it's two dimensions, but...
Whenever you're looking down here, you're looking at each other. That's more like a two-dimensional kind of a thing. You're not looking at anything.
Right.
But whenever you go up here, it's like a mirror. You break that third wall. Dude, you enter the fourth dimension, and you're looking at each other and God at the same time. God's like a mirror.
That is so cool. I love that concept. I love that. I love that so much.
Broke a new dimension.
I really like that. That's good. We haven't had a conversation like this in a while.
We haven't. It's nice.
But because and at the same time, it's like if you really just surrender and you want to do what God wants you to do, you wouldn't want anything else. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to say that. See, because I do feel like it is a God-given thing that I want to be able to. Be a channel for his love to my future wife someday, whatever. But maybe there are things that, the flesh of me wants to do in my life. I want to be famous. I would love to DJ big festivals and stuff like that. But if God doesn't see that in his plan, then eventually I should learn to be okay with that, because I should want what he wants for me. And,
it'd be the same thing. So if you're here and DJing's here, it's the same thing.
You can
but at the same time, DJing may stay down here. Because DJing is it's an inanimate thing, so it's never actually going to get closer.
Day,
so sometimes you may get up here, and God may bring it up there too.
Right. You're right.
But then there's other times, you may be up here, and he may decide to leave it down here.
At the end of the day, it really just matters that you get up here. You shouldn't look back and be like, is it following me?
Exactly.
Is it here with me? All that matters is that you get there.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is, yeah.
I really like that. I really like that
I do
concept.
Too. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I think it's kind of cool that you can feel anything in there.
Hi, guys.
I like the bull sack.
Oh, thank you.
I'm from Chicago, so I'm a big...
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're from Indiana, so...
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it's like me. Like I want to do music too.
Right.
Like if I could get the Paralytic to get really big or whatever, I would love to be able to do that. That's something I want to do. I've even asked God because I have this concept where like, okay, let's say I write whatever music I want, it's like that, and it blows up and I get really famous or whatever. Well, at some point I pull a kind of a switcheroo, but like there's a specific Drake, I think it is. Is he the one who started writing Christian music, or is that somebody else?
Kanye.
Yes, thank you. So I don't know why I said Drake, but anyway, so like I just pull a Kanye and start writing Christian music, but I'm already super popular, so everybody's still listening to my music, whether I'm writing Christian music or not. And I even asked God, I was like, look, if that's what you want me to do, then have me do that. But if it's not, because in a way that's kind of deceitful, but it's also not, because I'm still doing what God called me to do, but I'm also doing, enjoying what I'm doing on my own, and then being able to make it God-focused later.
I feel like you should be able to enjoy your God-given gifts.
Yeah. But see, at the same time, I've tried writing like more Christian and scriptural music, and it's more difficult than writing secular music. It is insanely difficult because I've tried and it's difficult, and a lot of it's because
It feels like a lot of stuff's already been said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff's already been said. Things that I would want to say have already been said, so there's not much more I can do. So, which is why it'd be great to have like Christian music writers. Right. But I don't know. I've kind of talked about that to God. I've been like, if you want me to, pursue music, then have me pursue music. I need your help doing it, but it's a difficult.
You gave me a gift for a reason. You're supposed to utilize it somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
The scale of that gift might not be
to what I want.
Famous,
yeah, but I mean,
still there.
Yeah, because I am using it. Right. I'm playing in college group. I helped out with youth group as much as I can. I still do every once in as much as I can. If I don't have class or whatever, I'll go to churches or whatever and play with the college group. There's people down there. What do you know? Anyway, I'll help out where I can, stuff like that, with playing music and singing to whatever extent. BCM's one of them. Just whatever I can.
I mean, without you, think about it. If God never gave you the gift of music, college group would have had no worship for like the last 3 weeks. I mean, maybe they would have had to call in some other people. Maybe they would have showed up. Maybe they wouldn't. But it's like with the high school group there, they don't even have worship anymore.
Yeah,
because
I'm not there. Yeah,
but if there was someone in high school that had been given a God-given gift and they wanted to express that, they'd have worship. But see, your absence would cause a lot of things to change. Yeah. And in addition to that, you and I could have both. I'm saying this is like part of a big pot of things. You and I could have been given the gift of music so that we could grow stronger in our friendship as well.
Yeah.
We could serve God through our friendship, which I think we've done, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Or at the very least tried.
All right, everybody, that's it for this week's episode. Hopefully it was cohesive enough for everyone to be able to listen along in somewhat of a flowing manner. But I hope everyone enjoyed listening to that little snippet of a conversation that Austin and I had not too long ago, within the last 6 months. And hopefully by next week, we can get back to having both Austin and I back in the studio and recording new content for you guys. I'm really excited to get back to that. So I hope you guys, again, enjoyed that. I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you guys all for listening this far. Thank you guys for continuing to support our podcast. And as always, Austin exists somewhere out there in this universe, and he's so sorry. And I'm Niall, and I am so sorry as well. And I will see you guys next week.